Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content. I think it's safe to say that might have been the worst Cavs game of the season. A night like this was bound to happen for the Cavaliers. Today, it just felt like nothing was clicking for them. They were never on the same page. They turned the ball over a ton. And it resulted in what we got here against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, first, let me give the respect to Oklahoma City because they deserve it. Shai SGA looks like a damn MVP. Super efficient. I mean, the stat line at the end of the game doesn't really do it justice. He was automatic all first half in this game. Like, I think he might have missed 3 shots. Lu Dort was hooping in this one, right? And it was like pretty crucial minutes that Lu Dort gave you because Lu Dort was kind of your de facto center in this lineup because they didn't really have a center because they were missing Isaiah Hartenstein. The Thunder, again, like we said when we played them last week, one of the best teams in the NBA. The Cavs right up there with them, but they got to play. They can't take a night off and think they're going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I feel like they took a night off and thought they were going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. 21 turnovers for the Cleveland Cavaliers in this game. Your core 4, right? Your main 4 players that you look forward to carrying you in these games: Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Those guys combined for 7 turnovers just by themselves, right? Caris LeVert came in and gave you 3 turnovers. Max Strus came in, gave you 3 turnovers to go with his 3 points. Isaac Okoro gave you 2 turnovers. All of these turnovers happened like in the first half. Like the Cavs were just atrocious with the amount of turnovers that they had in this game. Offense got a little bit better in the second quarter because I did think that they were missing a lot of shots that they should have made, but they dug themselves into a hole early, right? Because they were turning the ball over and they were missing open shots. At the beginning of this game, it looked like the Cavs were going to have their way because they were getting open shots. They were getting anything they wanted in the interior. And they were able to kind of play this game at the pace that they wanted to. But the problem was the Cavs weren't making shots. I think the Cavs missed 8 shots in the first quarter of this game to start, right? At a certain point, I think it was like 12 or no, it was like when it was 7-8, Cavs missed like 8 shots in a row. And then they went on even colder streaks at the end of the first quarter. And that's the stuff that really killed you because, you might have been able to run up like a 10-point lead. So when the Thunder go back on their run later on in that quarter, right, when they go on that crazy run that they went on, you might have just been down 10. And then all of a sudden that just changes the math on how you could come back in this game. But instead, you go down 20, then 25, then 30, game's over. Game's absolutely over. And again, you can't play with the team like Oklahoma City like this. Oklahoma City is one of the best teams in basketball. And I understand that they were short Isaiah Hartenstein, but you can't sleep on them, right? You wouldn't, like the same way we aren't going to sleep on a game versus Boston because KP's not in there or because Jaylen Brown's not playing. It's the same way you can't sleep on Oklahoma City just because they're missing 1 starter or 2 starters, right? They're going to figure out a way to hurt you. And the Cavs have done this to teams before, and now a team has done this to the Cavs. So they got a bit of the taste of their own medicine. Overall, it was a bad game. Donovan Mitchell only gave you 8. Evan Mobley only gave you 5, right? So that part of the rotation did not show up. That's pretty much half the Cavs' minutes is Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley being on the floor together, and they were not productive together in this one. You add that with Caris LeVert giving you pretty much nothing off the bench when you factor in all his turnovers. You factor that in with Max Strus not hooping, and then you end up with what you end up with at the end of this game. So now what, right? The Cavs got beat down by Oklahoma City. They lost this game convincingly on national TV. Now what for the Cavs, right? Also, now they're 34-6, same record as Oklahoma City. So if you're worried about finals home court, that's now something that you're gonna have to fight for the rest of the season, which I mean was already kind of the case because Oklahoma City was on your heels. So that's where the Cavs are. That's where Oklahoma City is. So now what for the Cavs, right? I think this is a opportunity for Cleveland to really cement some things that they need to correct over the next couple of days because they had some moments of slippage, right? The same way they were having those moments of slippage when they had those 2 drop games, well, the 3 drop games, Boston and the 2 games against Atlanta. I feel like these games against the Pacers and then this game versus Oklahoma City feel very similar to what happened at that part of the season, which is the Cavs were kind of slipping a little bit. And where were they slipping? Defense. I think since that Golden State game, right, December 30th, the Cavs haven't really been playing the same quality of basketball that we're used to seeing them play. And I think it starts with the defensive end. You look at ever since that Golden State game, they held Golden State to 95 points. Then you go and allow 122 versus Los Angeles. I mean, not 122, 110, 122 versus Dallas, and then you go 122 versus Oklahoma City, 126 versus Toronto, right? A Toronto team that was heavily injured, so on and so forth, right? I think that's been a problem. I think they haven't been shooting as well, which I think that'll come back over the course of the season. So I'm not too concerned about that. But what I am concerned about is that this Cavs team seems to be streaky with 2 different things. One, ball security. They don't turn the ball over a ton often, but when they do, it tends to get out of hand pretty quickly. They got to get a handle on that, right? There are some nights that they come in and it just doesn't look like they know how to take care of the basketball for whatever reason. Most of the time, it's not a problem, but sometimes it is. I think that's something they have to solve. Another thing that I think the Cavs really have to look into is why is it that this defense doesn't stick the way that we need it to stick? Why aren't they playing the quality of defense that we know they're capable of? We've seen this core play before on a consistent basis. Before, we were blaming it on Dean Wade not being healthy and also Caris LeVert being hurt, right? The Cavs had no wings. That's why the defense wasn't looking so hot. But that wasn't the case tonight. You had Dean Wade, you had Caris LeVert, you had everybody you needed, Isaac Okoro, all healthy. Why was the defensive effort so bad today? Why was the defensive discipline so bad today? Was it just because you turned the ball over? Again, 21 turnovers will make your defense look like shit no matter who you're playing. But still a question there about, can we be consistent on defense? I know a lot of people are concerned about what this team could do in the playoffs. If you're worried about anything, that's what you need to be worried about. What we can do defensively to make sure we're a little bit more consistent down the stretch, because this is the second time I felt like the defense has slipped for this team, and the ball security. I mean, 21 turnovers. I'm pretty sure Kenny's going to do something about that, right? And the one thing I do appreciate is that when the few times the Cavs have lost, you don't get this sense of arrogance from Kenny Atkinson, like, oh, we're 32-6, we'll be fine. It's more, he takes every loss extremely serious. And I think that's something he learned from Golden State, because they're another team that aren't used to losing that much. But he takes every loss extremely serious. So I hope and expect that they use this as an opportunity to make some improvements, because this schedule's not going to get easy down the stretch here, right? You play Minnesota, good team in the Western Conference. Phoenix, then you play Houston, another, top 3 seed in the Western Conference. Philadelphia, who's not good, but they're still playing much better basketball than they were earlier this season when they were in contention for like the number 1 overall pick. Now they're getting back into play-in talk, right? Houston, playing good basketball. Detroit, playing better basketball than you would expect. Atlanta is the only team that's beat you twice. Dallas, again, they're going to be much healthier than you played them the first time. And then you get Boston again, right? You got a nice, tough stretch here from now until February 5th So you got to figure some things out. You got to figure some, and you're going to be on national TV a lot. Got to figure some things out. Got to start shooting better. We'll see how it goes. You know, it's that stretch before the All-Star break too, which is usually pretty tough on teams, especially teams that have been together a while like the Cavs. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, man, Cavs take their worst loss of the season. I'm not going to make any sweeping conclusions about the season in general. I think that would be a bit reactionary and foolish. But I will say there are some things that you saw in this game that you hope that they could correct some of these trends that are popping up, mainly defense and turnovers, right? We can't have another night where you have 21 turnovers and then you only force 6 on the other end. Last time you played Oklahoma City, you did a good job at the end of that game, especially forcing turnovers. And again, credit to Oklahoma City. They took that loss personal. They came out with some fire today. The Cavs, they took that loss, they took that win that they got, thought it was going to be easy, and then they got punched in the mouth, and maybe they needed that. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.